Happy New Year. Welcome back. And you know what? We're starting the year off, I feel really good because I always make this commitment every year, but y'all already know what it is. See, I want to be more consistent with this podcast because this is like me scratching my journalistic itch, right? But I'm always behind the camera, so they kind of waver here and there. But I feel like, hey, we already starting off on a good note. It's the first of the year. Our last episode wasn't that long ago, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. So welcome to 2026. It's MGE Table Talk, and let me say thank you for either tuning in, watching. If you're listening on, iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcast Network, however you consuming this, I greatly appreciate it because trust me, you could have been doing anything else with your time, but you chose to be here for the Table Talk. So I am excited for the new year, for this new guest that we have here. She's someone who I think is making a lot of the good noise in the city, very well outspoken, and I think it's something that type of energy really needs to be implanted in our society. She's the founder of Geaux Create. She just came off of an award show last year, I believe. She has a lot of other projects, a lot of interesting things going on, and she is, I'm gonna dub her almost like a social advocate as well too, because she will say what maybe needs to be said, depending on your perspective. But I want to welcome Marion Gbaiwon.
Yes.
Did I
You did. You said it right.
All right.
Very good. Very good.
Listen, y'all, I practiced that in my head a couple of times because y'all don't even want to know how I was going to pronounce her last name. But I got it right.
Mm-hmm. It has a lot of silent and invisible letters in there, so some people have a hard time.
Gbaiwon.
So, Gbaiwon. Yes.
Okay, see, I'm going to keep saying that way.
Yes, right. So you can get it.
Right,
Get
I
up
can lock
there.
in. How you doing, though?
Yes. I'm doing good. I'm feeling good. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you.
Yes. So
A fellow creative.
Yes, that part.
Yes.
That part. Okay, and speaking of creative, okay, I do have a gift for you to thank you.
Okay.
Elle. Okay, so we're gonna get it, and we're gonna, because just to show you appreciation for having me on here.
Gifts, and I have to say, this is the first time someone has actually brought me a gift on this podcast, so it's very interesting. So I don't even know what it is yet, but I already
Okay, you gotta close your
it.
eyes.
Oh,
Close
close my eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, it
Close,
could be like a ham sandwich. I really don't know, but I'm excited to receive the gift, whatever it may be. I'm not sure what it is.
Okay, you can open it.
Okay, I can open it.
Yeah, you can open it.
Okay.
It's a
Boom!
creative shirt.
We
Yes,
got
because you are
merch.
creative. Yes.
Well, thank you.
So
Thank
you're so
you.
welcome.
Thank you so much. This is some good material too.
Yes,
here.
and period.
This
Feels
ain't-
good.
This is nothing shabby. I
Yes.
will say that.
Yes.
So this is very good. It's
Thank
very
you.
good
You know we don't
Thank
do
you so
shabby
much.
around here.
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
you're
This
welcome.
is very, very thoughtful of
Yes.
you, Mary.
And now
Thank
we're
you.
matching. We could be matching.
There we- see?
That part.
Well, I gotta put on. I gotta change my pants.
Right.
I gotta
but
coordinate. But no, this is good. This is very good quality.
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
You're
So,
welcome.
Tell me, those who may not be completely familiar with everything you do, because as a creative, I know you have to be behind the scenes. Occasionally, I do see you scratch your itch to get in front of the camera as well, doing things. But tell me a little bit about Geaux Create.
Yes. So Geaux Create, it initially started off as a content creation studio. Okay. And it just really blossomed into so many different things. And I really wasn't expecting it. So I want to say in 2023, we did a soft launch, and we have a studio off of Drusilla. It has about, I want to say, 5 different rooms designed differently where creatives can be able to come in and create content. Photographers come in and use it. Creatives come in. They have music videos and all sorts of things. And so, so that is what Geaux Create started off as. And then it has branched out into the Geaux Create empire. It has Geaux Create media, where we go out and do interviews. We have the Geaux Create Awards show, where we celebrate Baton Rouge creatives. We have our Go Together Youth program, which is, branches under Geaux Create, and that's where we teach youth confidence and creativity, and we merge it together. We have our Geaux Create. I feel like I'm missing like a good 2 things. But yes, either way, That's what it is.
Full
Go Create,
umbrella.
yes, Go Create Empire. That's what I call it now, and that's what it is. And
Okay.
it's my baby.
Now, so how did you get started as a creative? Because I mean, we're talking about the business aspect of it as well. You founding your own company, but what is your background as far as creative? Like, did you go to school for it? Like, what's your training? Like, were you self-taught? Some people, they will YouTube tutorial
YouTube
themselves, and
University.
yes. So what's your background with being a creative?
It's just always been in me.
Right.
And I didn't really go to school for it. My parents are West African, that's where the name comes from. And, they're very much so, if you're not a doctor or a lawyer, you're nothing. Okay. So at this point, that's what you need to go to school.
So that's really a thing, because
it's a thing.
I've heard that in different interviews with people, from that region of the world. I know, a few friends, and but you kind of think that they're embellishing, but that's a real thing, that if you're not a doctor, wait, you said two things.
Doctor or a lawyer.
Doctor or a lawyer.
Yeah.
Then what are you doing with your time?
Right. And I mean, I am being a bit facetious, but the reality is they were a little bit more lenient on it, I think, because they realized the type of kids they had. And I remember our dad called us down one day, and I thought we was about to have the birds and the bees talk, and we're all nervous. He just came upstairs. He's like, y'all need to come downstairs right now. And I'm like, all right, okay, brace myself. And then he sat down. He was like, listen, it's okay, even if you just want to be a hairdresser. Just do something. And I think at that point, because he realized, like, okay, y'all a little bit different, So I just want to let you know that whatever it is you're going to do that. So, that was my dad. But my mom was still all day and, like, do something else. So I did go to college on a physics scholarship.
Okay.
I graduated high school a year early. And so that's just what that was. But the creativity, like, there was always things I would do. Like, I was attracted to the camera, so I would just, like, take pictures with my phone. As I got in college, my best friends now, she let me borrow her DSLR camera, and so that's kind of how I got started, a photojournalist on the Digest at Southern University. And so that's just kind of like how things started, and they just blossomed. And, I had a wedding cake company I opened up when I moved to Honolulu, and, I did that. So in Japan.
Whoa. We can't just glaze over that, So you bake as well? Too.
Yes, I do very, very well. I don't just bake. I cap all caps.
So you create with the baking.
Yes. I'm very intentional about everything that I do, and when it comes to taste, not just the looks. And people will be like, "This is the best cake I've ever had in my life." They will literally tell me that, and I'm like, "Thank you, I appreciate that."
And this was in Honolulu.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, in Honolulu.
See, I had to kind of put a pin right there because you were like Southern University physics. Went to Honolulu, was baking cake. Like, whoa, how did we get there?
Yeah. So I did. So when I did come out to college, I ended up getting into a cult. In that cult, I met my ex-husband, and so he was.
Whoa!
I know.
Wait. See, you be saying it like it's just like, I went down the street and grabbed a carton of milk and then came back.
Yeah.
You joined the cult?
I did.
What was the name of the cult?
It was called Bethany Church 220.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I was about to say, man, I hope you ain't joined like Heaven's Gate, because they drank Kool-Aid and killed themselves.
Yeah, no, I mean, they did have a play, Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames, and so there was, so that's where I met them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Continue.
Yes. Okay. So then we got married out here. Then he joined the military shortly after we got married. That's when we moved to Honolulu.
Okay.
And then, I wanted to do what did I want to do? I always wanted to open up my business. And so I opened that up. And then I also opened up my photography at the same time. So I called it Our Treats Cupography, like cupcakes and photography. Had to be creative with that. Right. Right. And so I did that. And how I got to Japan was I'm trying to escape him. And Japan was like right there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you left him in Honolulu.
And did.
And then you went to Japan.
And did.
By yourself.
Yes. Well, I did know my best friend was in Japan, so
Okay,
I
'cause
wasn't
I'm about to,
alone.
like,
Right. It
did
wasn't
you
just
just,
like,
like, you know what,
I
like,
got on a
eeny, meeny, miny,
space, a
Japan.
military flight, straight to Japan, and yeah, but no, she was there, so I was like spent time, and it was Tokyo and Okinawa.
Okay.
Yeah, but when I was there, I had to make money, so I was like, that's when I did my, still sold my desserts and stuff like that, sold out, so that was good. It really boosted my confidence. Cause like no matter where I go, people like my stuff.
Right.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, continue. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, because you just be kind of like
Right, just glossing
like
over it. Right. So I was
Okay.
there for a little bit, and then of course, they come and be like, "I'm sorry, I changed. That was a mistake." Okay. So then I came back to Honolulu, and then from there I moved back to Baton Rouge. After I was like, "Yeah, I'm done for real." But I wasn't really done for real at that point. I didn't know that then, because then I moved with him to Massachusetts. I said Massachusetts. Boston, Massachusetts.
You combine them, but yeah, but I was following.
Boston, yeah, he got it. Yeah. So then I moved there, and and I officially came back to Baton Rouge. But then I did move to Houston after I came back open up a studio out there. Yeah. Okay. And then business was going well, but then I still had clients out here in Baton Rouge. So this is how Geaux Create kind of really started, because when I came back out, I was just looking for a small studio. I was going to do it with someone, and I was like, let's just get a small space, And then I walked into the building that is now Geaux Create, and I'm like, this is it. This is it. It was dusty. It smelled abandoned, because it was for a few years.
Right.
And it looked really ugly. But then when I walked inside, my mind was like, wow. And I went with a friend because we was going to do it together. Her face was stiff. She was like, it stinks in here and it's ugly, and my eyes are big. I'm not trying to make it too big, because the people walking with me, they was going to hike up the price list. So I was excited. Exactly. So it's just like, But like in my mind, I'm like, this is it. This is it. And yeah.
Well, and normally that's how visionaries are wired.
Yeah.
We're able to look at something that everyone else will kind of maybe just look past.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll just see the outer core of it. A visionary, can go into an open field.
Absolutely.
And see, shopping centers or a neighborhood. That's how I believe that we are wired. Okay, so yeah, that is amazing, and I have been able to visit Geaux Create.
Yes.
It is a very impressive place. I
Thank
will
you.
tell you that it's
Thank
very
you.
impressive.
And a lot has changed since you've been there.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
yes. You've always upgrading, always doing, adding on, and so.
I'm gonna have to come and check it out.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we've established. Your interesting history, to say the least, come from Honolulu, Japan.
Right.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, Massachusetts. Can't forget that.
Boston, Massachusetts.
Yes.
If we gonna
right. If you fancy.
So we're gonna so now we've established Geaux Create. What's your main driving force with it now? Like, aside from just being a creative, but what's like a motivation for you? Because as you're establishing yourself more and more in the city, your name is ringing out. More people are, knowing who you are now, and we're going to get to a few reasons why they know, who you are, because you've done some things.
Yeah.
But what motivates you to still remain kind of in that lane?
Seeing people's lives change. Like, I feel like that's the foundation of everything that I do. Honestly, I really believe that I can change the world. I have no doubt about it. But I'm seeing it in real time. I'm seeing how creativity and, allowing people to express their creative abilities, how it's changing them at their core, changing their beliefs, them, going from believing like, oh, this is just going to be my life. I haven't left out of Baton Rouge. This is just it, to, wow, like, I'm doing things that I've only dreamed about. And once they start doing it, they realize like, okay, I can continue on. I can keep doing this. And, we all know when people are really living the lives that they want to live, they make better decisions. Right. They're not, entertaining relationships they don't need to entertain, because they're like, what, I can do this. I can change the trajectory of my life, And so they're not doing that. They're not, making decisions out of desperation because they know that they have the ability to create, even if they don't have it right now. And so that is the foundation of everything, really seeing that. And people telling me, I've had adult parents come to me about their adult children, be like, I have never seen them this dedicated about anything ever. I had that happen on multiple occasions. And so that is that's my heart behind it. I really want to see people's lives change, and I really want to see the world change and become a better place. So,
and media happens to be your tested vehicle for
yeah,
that.
absolutely.
So, and this kind of segues into the next point I want to kind of cover with you. Excuse me, is the Geaux Create Awards. So, tell us, how did that come about? And I think we already know what your motivation behind it was, but
Yeah.
Elaborate a little bit more about what the Geaux Create Awards, how it happened, and what it means.
Yeah. So it's really about celebrating creativity, okay? And I wanted creatives to have something to look forward to because they have award shows specifically maybe for music artists and maybe award show for or film festival stuff like that, but I wanted something to motivate people to create. So it's like knowing like, okay, I can get nominated for this. I can actually win an award if I make shirts, if I design templates, whatever it is, I have something that could be able to, acknowledge me and award me. And so that was like the heart behind that, to kind of help give people motivation and a drive to continue to do. Because y'all know kind of in Baton Rouge can kind of get like this, people run in the same circles, the same people get acknowledged. And it's just like, no, like creatives are the heart behind everything. When you look around you, that was created by a creator, an innovator. They were like, okay, something like the mics, they look differently years ago, and somebody's like, no, I want to do something. We could do something different, right? And they evolve because an innovator and a creator decided, hey, I could change this. Yeah. And so I want to be able to celebrate that. And so that's where the Geaux Create Awards, that was the heart behind that. And so that's how it, formed.
Yeah, and you may mention that, here, especially in this city, you have people who kind of run the same circles, the same people get acknowledged. And a lot of that is motivation for me as well, too. My friends can tell you that's why I started saying the phrase is checks over trophies.
Yeah.
Because I would look every year and it would be the same people getting acknowledged by, these different publications, what have you. And I'm like,
white publications.
Yeah. That was actually the inspiration. We actually launched a magazine a few years back.
Wow.
Bankrolled everything ourselves. And you want to know the motivation of why I even put out a magazine?
Why?
Because I said I can do it better
Mm-hmm.
than what the leading magazine was. And if you compare, even now, like we did one issue.
Yeah.
We literally did one issue just to prove a point. That I can take, this publication has a network that they can tap into. They have
money,
more of a staff, more money, more resources. They have more reach. And I said I can put together a better magazine than them.
Mm-hmm.
And the cover of that magazine is actually behind you.
Okay.
Period. We have former Mayor Melvin Kip Holden's last recorded interview.
Wow.
We have that. One of our writers actually lived in China, and they did an entire piece on the different culture shocks between being in China and being in the United States.
Wow.
So we had an international flavor with it as well too. But we pressed up, as many copies as we did. I think it was a couple of thousand.
Wow.
And we had it in stores, and people, I'll show you. I still have a few physical copies. I'll show it to you. But it was really mainly just to prove a point that with little resources, we can do a better publication. And for me, media has always been a part of my life. Now, this, my story is, people would collect baseball cards. I would collect magazines.
Yeah.
Right now at my home, I have bins full of like Source magazines, Double XL, Vibe, Time, all these different publications because it's always been a part of me. So I eat, sleep, and breathe media. That's what I went to school for, and that's the industry that I've worked in since graduating. So for me, when I look at what is considered the standard, and I say I can do that better because y'all are not even trying. This is nothing more than a big coupon book. There's no stories here. Like there are things going on in this city that are interesting, and when you hear people saying, "Oh, there's nothing going on in Baton Rouge is boring," it's not. It's just the things that should be promoted are not being promoted. They're not getting the appropriate amount of light shined on these different pockets of not only creativity but just talent in general. So yeah, on a whim, we put out a whole magazine. We've put out television shows that are actually on TV. I said I don't want anybody to say oh well, that's just on YouTube whatever, and that's not downgrade anyone who just has their content on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I wanted to have a sense of legitimacy for everyone, so they can't say it's just this.
Right.
No, we're going to put it on your channel guide as well too. It's going to be FCC regulated.
That part.
So we've had multiple seasons of multiple shows on TV.
Yeah.
So I said all that to say I kind of went down the street and around the block.
Right, but that was amazing.
But I said all that to say, I feel your motivation.
Yeah.
And it is good for us to create our own things and have our own things so that that's the basis of this show. If you look at the phrase, you're either at the table or you're on the menu.
Yeah.
And I feel like for too many times, for too long rather, there have been people who've been placed in positions of power, and they've kept us on the menu. But we haven't been equitable with our presence at a table. We're just on the menu. So that was the whole basis of even starting this podcast, is to have these type of conversations like that and to analyze and assess why are we, as a whole, remaining on the menu? Why are we repeating these mistakes? So that brings me to my next segue with you, because even though you're a business owner, you're a visionary, but you also are very outspoken when it comes to the political landscape, especially in this city. I say all this because I follow you on your social media, and you're very transparent on social media. And I say, man, she will stand 10 toes down on pretty much anything.
And will.
And it could be a large issue or a small issue, and you will comment on it. And you were actually, when we did the town hall, you were there. It's funny because you were commenting the entire time, and I look up, and then you're there. And I said, what? I'm reading comments as they're coming in because we're live streaming this, and then you popped in.
Yeah.
So
because y'all were like literally 2 minutes away from my studio when I looked at, because I was in the middle of doing work, and I saw it's like, okay, I'm commenting, and I'm looking, I'm like, hold up, they are 2 minutes away. Let me pull up, because I do like to pull up.
I said, let me definitely pulled up.
Yeah.
Because and I mean, I'm in there, I'm directing and I'm looking at, I'm monitoring everything, but then I happen to look up and I'm like, wasn't she just online like a minute ago? Like, was she in the parking lot?
Yeah.
How did she get here?
The studio.
But I bring all that up because you are engaged in a lot of advocacy as you see fit. What is your take on the current political landscape of Baton Rouge?
I feel like that is a very broad.
Okay, so let me slim it down.
Yes.
So there's been a lot of talk about deconsolidation from the current form of government. As you know, we have the parish form of government. So the parish president is also the mayor of Baton Rouge. But now there's been talks of deconsolidation. I feel like the talk ramped up a lot because of the last mayoral election. I have thoughts about that, but I want to get your thoughts. How do you feel about the whole idea of deconsolidation?
I mean, I think that's a very good question. Honestly, I haven't really looked too much into deconsolidation. Like, for me, there's been there are specific things that I would talk about because I don't talk about everything. But I think when it comes to specifically East Baton Rouge, and the mayor and the Metro Council and all of that stuff, like, I'll go in on some topics with that. But I have seen, what you're speaking of, but I haven't really gone into that aspect just yet.
So my hesitancy with that, because I've seen a lot of people there saying, "Oh, we need to just deconsolidate from this form of government because unlike all the other outlier towns, so you look at Zachary, Central, Baker, St. George, those mayors, when whoever's running for mayor in those areas, it's only for the people in that area. But for the mayor of Baton Rouge, who also serves as the mayor president, all the towns can now have a say in that, not just people who reside in the city limits of Baton Rouge. Now, my feeling is this: to deconsolidate gives away a huge bargaining chip. And you have to wonder, why now? Why is it that now it's a talking point for, if the people who are for or against, like, the majority of white people now are saying deconsolidation is cool. I have questions why. Why now? Is it because now you've kind of raped and pillaged and got what you wanted? Like, and when I hear other black people who sit in seats of power talking about deconsolidation, and when I say sitting in seats of power or seats of influence, however you want to phrase it, I have real questions about that, because I feel like that's giving away a huge bargaining chip, because the mayor also can call a shot for the entire parish. And if we give that away, what does that say now? We can't get in our feelings because of one election that could potentially be a one-off. We don't know how that's going to go. I mean, it's for years, this has been a stronghold for, if you are a Democrat, it's been a stronghold for Democratic votes, dating back to 3-term mayor Kip Holden, 2-term mayor Sharon Winston Broome. This could actually be a one-off, because, the demographics didn't change. The racial makeup didn't change going one way or the other. So we're going to let one loss determine now going forward how we do business. I think it's a mistake. Now, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
So I ran all that down for you now. What's your insight into that?
You asked the question, you said, why now? I think transition is the weakest time for, it could be for a person, for institution, for anything. In the middle of transition, people are trying to figure out, like, what's going on and different things like that. So I can see why that would be happening now, during the time of transition, because it's easier for people to get in, right? There's no established mindsets about, certain things. So it's like things are kind of like, kind of just moldable and bendable and a little bit flexible, during this time, especially. It's only been a year since the new mayor has been elected and different things like that. So I can see why that's happening right now.
Well, and then, let's just look at the metrics. Okay. So if people who are nervous about, or that are promoting deconsolidation, they're nervous because of the last election, right? But let's look at the metrics. The current mayor, what's been the political wins that he's achieved in his first year? None. So him being elected, my opinion, is not more so about him, but it was more so about a referendum on the previous mayor. And that, hey, this is just the only other option on the ballot. I think the current mayor, he has a likable disposition. If you meet him, everyone says he's a genuinely nice person, but he's also a political novice.
Yeah.
But
I want to just kind of pause you right there, because I don't feel like it would be fair to just say that, he won because, he may be likable. We have to be honest about the previous mayor and about certain things that were done and were not done. Even during that time when it came to re-election, I was very open about my experience with her. So I don't think that, maybe him being likable or different things like that may be the primary reason why, either she lost and he won. Some people wanted something different.
Well, that's what I said. I think it's definitely a referendum on her.
Yeah.
And I had conversations about this before with people, and even before the current mayor even got into the race, when it was still early, I said she's not going to win her next term. And people were like, what? No, of course she's going to win. I said, she's not going to win. I said, number one, there's a lot of baggage surrounding her. And some people have a long memory, some people have short memories. You had the stench of the Brave Cave hanging around. And even when you know this just from being in business, being in charge of your own organization, sometimes I don't know don't suffice.
Right.
And when you come
right.
out and say, I didn't know it was happening, there's only two things that comes after that. You're either lying or you're stupid. Now, you can pick which one you want to be defined by.
Right.
But for me, that's what comes across when you are the head of something and you tell me you didn't know what was going on your watch.
I would be embarrassed to give that answer.
I'll say this.
I would rather, just, and I think that's the thing that's like, why would you want to? Because if you don't know about that, what else are you unaware of that's going on and under, your leadership?
You have to be aware.
Right.
And I get, listen, you have a whole city to run. But
that's not an excuse.
Well, what that tells me is maybe were they running like a shadow government where you were just unaware of these things? Does anything go on with Geaux Create that you don't know about?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Because the buck has to stop where?
Absolutely.
It has to stop with you. So whatever happens, you have to be accountable.
Right.
So if you're holding an award show and someone is getting beat up backstage, you can't then come out and say, I had no idea.
Right. Because whatever's happening, like there had to have been people that I put in place or people that I didn't put in place. So either way, that's my responsibility. Either I put somebody there that didn't know how to control their temper, or I didn't have somebody there, and I failed on that aspect.
At some point, it's
me.
It still comes to be your responsibility.
Right. Absolutely.
And to come out and just say, I just didn't know, and then not even offer up but I'm going to take responsibility for this. That's the next follow-up that you have to do. But you had the Brave Cave. You had the stormwater thing. You had the LSU arena where we're basically giving away our ability to use the Raising Cane's River Center for certain events, and we're giving the power to LSU. So Baton Rouge is going to answer to a college now. We're the state capital, but yet we're going to shift big events, and then we're going to allow conferences to happen at the River Center. That's a rinky-dink deal.
Right.
I look at the landscape of the state. There's no reason why 50 Cent should be in Shreveport and not Baton Rouge. Because what all is going on at Celtic Studios right now, it's already set up. A deal could have been placed there. Mm-hmm. So I look at all these things. So that's why I say it was kind of a referendum on her. And this isn't me, taking a huge dump on her. It's not about that. And we in our community have to get out of this habit of when we assess things that it gets branded as hating. Mm-hmm. Not hating on that woman at all. That woman has experience. I think she's qualified to do whatever she wants to do. I think she probably didn't have the right inner circle around. And I think she let some things go by her that maybe she shouldn't have gone. Let go by her.
She was not qualified. Because as a mayor, even if there are things that you become a mayor, her first time, that's her first time, right? we're all experiencing first as we live. No
Right.
one really knows. We're learning as we go.
Absolutely.
To me, it's not an excuse to say, either maybe you didn't know or different things like that. If you decide to run now, even if you didn't know how to do it, you got to learn, right? It's time to take a crash. It's time to figure some things out. You decided to run for this. I give you no grace for saying, this is, maybe she didn't know it. No. When you decide to step in this, now you take everything that comes with it, and now it's time for you to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what bothers me so much whenever I see, people in the comments like, oh, but y'all want if they see something that Sid is doing, but y'all chose him over Mayor Broom. It's like, no, there are reasons why, many of us did not want her back in the seat. And it's things that she did.
Well,
So,
and I said this too. Again, the track record was there as well too. So like, if we compare how she was with her predecessor, right? So Kip got 3 terms, Sharon got 2. While Kip was in office, I don't know any other Democrat with name recognition that dared even try to run against him for 3 terms. When Sharon was up her first term, I mean, no, that was kind of a jungle because Kip was term limited, so that don't count.
right.
But the first time she defended, people forget, see, Denise ran against her in 2020. And people can say what they want. Maybe they can say, oh, well, she wasn't going to win. She has name recognition. Why didn't that happen under Kip? What is it about you that lets someone feel like, oh, she's ripe. I can do that. And then the next time it was Ted. I said this before too. I said, every time she ran, she ended up in a runoff with a bald head white guy. I said they just found one that's likable this time.
Right.
When she first ran in 2016, I got invited in to a meeting with her. This is when she was in the runoff with Bodie White. And I told her to her face, you got to get in front of the St. George thing. I said, because they fell short this time. And I think it was in that same year. They fell 71 signatures short on their petition to even get on a ballot. I said, they have to sit out for, I think, 2 years. I said, they're going to try this in your first term. I said, you got to get in front of it. I said, one of the best ways is to try to change hearts and minds. Try to meet with people on that side of town and say, listen, not sure what all your grievances are. I'm here to listen. Just something public and cosmetic could help smooth that over. Also, I have questions like, why didn't anyone just start incorporating swaths of land in that area? I would have left St. George with Jones Creek and said, have a nice day. They would have been left with Jones Creek in the Shenandoah neighborhood, and I would have said, there you go. There's your city. Because I would have incorporated Corsi, Stumberg, Segan. I would have left them with scraps. Where was the forward thinking? Everything is always reactive and not proactive. I have issues with that.
Yeah.
So I've publicly said this before. I blame her for St. George. Because it happened on her watch. And what did you do? Even if you look at the marketing, you have the full power of the mayor's office. I saw no signs. I saw no billboards. I saw no Facebook posts. I saw no TV ads.
AKA, she didn't know what she was doing.
But yet St. George, they were everywhere. I saw signs. I saw TV ads. I saw Facebook. I wasn't even following them on Facebook. They kept ending up in my algorithm. My point is, what were you doing? Did you just say, well, guess they just gonna get it? And throw your hands up and say, well, guess that's it? Did you just allow defeat to just creep in? So these are questions I always have, is that if, you have to be proactive. I am very much against St. George. Always have been. I think it's a dumb idea. I think it's a dumb concept. And I think some of the people that were supporting it are starting to see that it was a grift. Because you got a police chief that has no police force. And state statutes, I forget the statute, but once you establish a municipality in this state, you're supposed to establish a police force. You can't then use the sheriff office as your de facto police force and say, we're going to hire a police chief to be a liaison. This man ain't got no guard dog. I don't even think he there's not even an official police car. But he's pulling in $180,000 a year to be a liaison. It's a grift. That's the end of my tangent on that.
I feel you.
But and like I said, I'm bringing up these things because I know that you have been very outspoken about just different things. You had an interaction with the police, and you've been very transparent about that on your social media. But tell me, I don't know the origins of that because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a reader, but sometimes your posts be
Yeah.
and I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna come back to it, Marion. I'm gonna read that later. But tell me, how did that interaction even start, and bring us to the point of where we are now with you, as far as you're now having to have meetings with them about what happened.
So I went with one of my mentees to, she had to get checked into a mental health facility. So went with their mom and different things like that to bring her all that stuff. It was a very, emotional time for their mother. Of course, like you realize, like I got to check my child in, so it was a lot. So went with them there. We spent 8 hours at Our Lady of the Lake, and then eventually we transitioned her. And during that time, I was really the mouthpiece because the mom was exhausted. Right. So I was making sure that the right things are being said to the doctors and different things like that, so they can understand what's really going on. So that was that. So we ended up going into Towel Center, which is connected to Our Lady of the Lake, and that's where everything kind of went down. When we got there, they lost her. They had no idea where she was. If you understand Our Lady of the Lake,
they lost a whole person.
Okay, when you understand from the children's to Towson is like 3 feet. So when we got there, and I'm like, I put her on the van. So when we got there, we were like, okay, this person is XYZ. They was like, we don't have nobody here by that name. And it was just like, okay, well, and we took a little bit of time because we still had to talk to the doctors, different things like that. So by the time, and I was like, I know, I see the van in the front. And they're like, yeah, there's no. And so at this point, the mom's like, what has happened? We cannot be ignorant and think that they're not trafficking Black children, right? So this is a thought. What happened? Y'all saying she's not here. What's going on? And so, so that was the whole thing. Mom's kind of freaking out, and I'm just being very straightforward and trying to figure out. We have to go back and forth to try to find, where the child is. So at that point, they established me to be difficult. Although I was not yelling, I was not any of that. I was like, okay, we just want to know where they are. And once we found out where they were, actually that the child was there, it was just that their system, we were like, okay, we request a transfer, and they did not want to do that. And so we're just like, want to talk to supervisors, different things like that. So they established or have this mindset now that I was difficult. When I would think as a parent or a guardian or anybody that is, taking care of children, you will want the best for them. Like, yeah, they're in a facility. We just want to make sure that they're going to be safe and they're okay. So anywho, they gave me the visitors form, filled it out. At the time, visitation was done, so we came back the next day. That's when everything went down. When I got there before the mother. I wanted to sign in, everything like that, because she was going to run behind. I didn't want her to miss it. So right when the mom got there, they pulled her to the side, the directors. Their very first question was not, we apologize for what happened yesterday. Their first question was, who was I? And why was I so involved? I could see if I was there the day prior alone, trying to figure out what's going on. I was standing next to the mom, but I think it's because I was the one that was
being assertive,
being vocal, because she did not have it in her. So they're trying to figure that out, and that's how I knew. I was like, okay, this is going to be a problem. Like, you can't even take ownership. So they refused to allow me to, to see the child. They said that I was making their treatment worse, which was false. The child didn't even know that I was there. So that's when they end up, they told me I can't go to the back, but I can sit right there in the front. And so did that. They said, if you had any other questions, cool. My last questions, I wanted to get their names for documentation purposes. And it was like, now you have to leave. I'm just like, You just told me that I could stay. I'm very much so confused. I have abided by all of your rules and regulations, so I don't understand what's going on. And they was like, yeah, but you have to leave. And I'm thinking, like, now the mom's in the back, the child's in the back. And my first thought is, like, I don't want to leave like them. I don't know what's going on behind those doors, okay? Like, we live in real life. A lot of things are happening. You know, people just disappearing. Literally, very, very fast. Okay, and I'm like, you said I could stay. So then that's when they end up calling the officer, who did not ask me any questions, went based off of what they said. They told the officer I had no affiliations with anyone in the back, and that I'm asking questions that they cannot give me the answers to, alluding to I'm asking HIPAA questions about, and I was not. Completely false. He did not ask any questions, did not try to verify or anything like that. It was like, you need to leave or be arrested. I'm like, they literally told me that I could stay. And so that ended up with me being arrested. And so that was just traumatizing within itself. Held me in the vehicle, say they was going to drop me off at the racetrack. And I'm like, away from my car so I can walk back and potentially get hit. You know what I'm saying? Anything could happen, right? And so eventually he was like, okay, I'm going to, he read my Miranda rights and then told me, like, if you don't answer my questions, I'm going to give you more charges. He's just asking me what I do. Do you need to know? I live, like, I have every right to be here. If you're running tapes, and mother literally told them that they wanted me to be here. They told them that she told them that she was not okay, and she needed an advocate and she needed some support. So, anywho, on the way to precinct, they end up, dropping me off at my studio. It was like, is there somewhere else I can drop you? Like, you said you was going to take me and book me. You know what I'm saying? So do that. I'd rather you follow your protocol. I'm not looking for any favors. If this is what you're supposed to do, and I violated the law, and I'm supposed to get book me. I'm not somebody that's going to evade accountability or responsibility. But the fact that you went around is giving very sketchy. So they end up, dropping me off at my studio, giving me
citation.
Yeah, a citation. And so that's kind of just where everything just started. I did not appreciate the way that things were handled. And I'm like, worse things could be going on. And somebody's here advocating for a child. And your first thing is like, okay, we don't care. I'm going to arrest you. But you would rather shoot them if they, get to a point where they out of line. You'd rather do that, put them in a prison, right? But when you have somebody saying, I'm here, I want to make sure that everything's okay, and you decide to arrest me, is this how you're, and as I'm talking to them, it's like, this how you're training your officers? Is this, what it is, right? Because when it comes to black women and black people, you want to police them, right? And white people can do the same thing. You're not treating them the same way. You'll be more kind. Like, you know what, ma'am? Okay, cool. Great. I do understand that there are white people that, have gone, experienced injustice as well. I'm not, but, the trend when it comes to black women and black people is that. So that's that. And, I've been very open about that. Just had a meeting with the chief during that time when I went to go report what was going on. The internal affairs, this is Kyle Hill, ended up calling me problematic. Tried to call the report. They hung up on me. They said, I see why they called you problematic. And this is our police force, right? And your internal affairs, you're supposed to investigate, and you're not investigating. That's the issue. What else are you ignoring because it's not favorable to you? So that's where I had an issue, and that's where, so that was that.
And so since then, you had your meeting with the police chief?
Yes, I think that was about 2 weeks ago, and that was after I came to the meeting there.
Right.
I saw him, and I was like, okay, well, you said months ago that we were supposed to meet, and that's when Jeff LaDuff was there as well, and he was the next step because the mayor's office is over the police department. I spoke to him. He ended up ghosting me, and so I was like, I got an issue with you too. But anywho. So I did end up getting my meeting, and they call me back in once again, to do the investigation on how things are handled and whatnot. So I'm still waiting to hear back on that.
So right now you're just in the waiting process right now to see how they're going to resolve that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, Marion.
Yes.
It is a brand new year.
It is.
what are the plans for Go Create this year?
Plans for Go Create.
If you can divulge, I mean, you might have some things you're working on. You're like, I don't want to put that out yet, but the plans that you are able to divulge to us.
Honestly, I would. I don't want to say the same thing, but we're branching more into our photography as a studio, because yes, we're a content creation studio, but what we're doing is really wanting to, I don't want to call it like become like the JCPenney for Black people, but I really do. Like, I feel like Black people.
Listen, that's not a bad analogy to use.
Yeah, because people understand like JCPenney, but I'm like, what I realize is that a lot of us aren't taking family photos. We're not. Photos is a way of leaving a legacy, like showing like years down the line, it could be 100 years. They would love to see a picture of you. They would love to see a picture of the family.
Right.
But a lot of Black families aren't taking pictures, professional pictures. And so that's what I really want to do, and make it affordable and good quality. And so that's really what we're branching into this year, and just continue to do the same thing with the award show. And fingers crossed we're able to launch our show, Creators Couch, that we filmed a while ago. And
now tell me about that. You see how you just shoot
yes.
right over that. Tell me about the Creators Couch.
So the Creators Couch is basically where I interview different creators here in the city, and there's a distinction for me between a creative and a creator, and so creators just really originators, and just really I interviewed them, and it's really fun because we have different segments where they come in, but before we did the interview, we had them do this game show kind of, where they are challenged to do something that they may not be familiar with, to kind of like get their creative juices flowing. And so we have that segment on there. So once we do the interview, in the like middle of the interview, we're like, okay, let's replay. When you came in, you had a challenge and different things like that. And it has a variety of people that we interviewed, from like a sexologist to, a woman. She has a hair studio. She also travels all around the world. Music artists, producers, and different things like that. So we have a lot of interesting people on the show. And yeah, so that is, we really wanted to launch that. We filmed a short film, a psychological thriller last year. So wanted to drop that as well. And so, yeah, just really wanted to put out the things that we have and we've done and we've filmed, so that's something that we really want to do this year.
Very interesting.
Yes.
And let me say, I can't wait to see the new product, especially your show, The Creators Couch, and the short film. I'm a fan, especially of other independents as well, because I think that these are things that are much needed. You look at the news and how you have all these just major mergers, and with these mergers, I feel like society suffers a little bit. And the reason why I feel like that is because it starts minimizing your choice. Mm-hmm. If you remember years ago, how many cell phone companies did we have? Like, 20? Mm-hmm. And now we're down to 3 because everything is all merged together. Mm-hmm. If you look at the recent news with Warner Brothers potentially being purchased by either Paramount or Netflix. Mm. And I mean, there are ramifications for both. If Netflix gets it, people are afraid that this will, contribute to the death of movie theaters, which anybody knows me knows that's one of my favorite parts. I love actually going to the theater to watch movies. I mean, I enjoy watching movies from my home, but there's nothing like going to a theater.
It's an experience.
But I think we're getting further and further away from the experience of things, especially when it comes to create and art. If you look at music, how it's becoming more devalued because it's so easily accessible. You don't have to go to the store and get an album. And that was an experience within itself when you would purchase an album, the physical copy of it, and you're able to get the liner notes, and they got the lyrics, and then there's pictures, and then there's the thank you page. And having that was an experience within itself. But now, and even when you would get the album, it would live with you for, a long time. That might be your album for 2-3 months, and now an album will drop, and within a week, people are like, yeah, I'm done with it now.
Yeah.
So I think the staying power of art is being devalued because everything is so accessible. You have AI pictures now where you have artists who will create art, but then you have someone who has AI and it's just like whatever. So I think that's why I'm such a fan of when an independent comes up and they're being very deliberate with what they're creating, whether it's a show, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a film, a short film, what have you. I think we need more of that. We need to celebrate that. So,
But can I add?
as you celebrate people,
Yeah.
that's my way of kind of celebrating, what you're doing as well too.
Yeah, I definitely want to add. I don't think that I don't have an issue with evolution. I feel like, the things that you speak about is evolution, right? Biologically, we do it. We call it, natural selection, where birds and animals and flowers that would evolve to be able to thrive or survive in the environment that they are in.
Okay.
I think that, even when it comes to music being accessible, like a lot of people may not have been able to afford, CDs or afford different things like that, or like, so now it's
Definitely a
like, okay,
double-edged sword.
they can be able to access it, it's on YouTube, and so, back then to get a tutorial about something, you would have to purchase the
True.
tape or whatever. Now you can be able to go on YouTube and everything's there already. You can be able to learn, you can be able to see. I feel like it, and the reason why people are evolving so fast is because it's increasing they're able to see like, okay, this can be done, right? Versus, we think about years ago, only a certain group had a certain thing, and maybe some people didn't even know it existed. And so I feel like evolving is okay. And I don't think that AI is any threat to real creators, because you'll realize like, I can evolve with this. This can actually help me take my stuff. I can be able to expand, and I can be able to grow faster if you have that mindset.
Well, and when I say what I said earlier too, it's I do realize everything has to evolve. At one point, air conditioner was optional for cars.
Yeah.
Power steering was a thing. And now it's like it's just an automatic thing. And even with the internet, with the rise of the internet, it evened the playing field a lot. Even what we're doing right now on this podcast. If before, years ago, if you didn't have access to this multi-million-dollar facility and things of that nature, then you wouldn't have that ability. But what I say with that is there is a sense of responsibility to it as well too. I think too much of anything can cause an overload. So just because you have access doesn't mean you have to overload on it. And I feel like in our society, the way that we are consuming certain things, we're not digesting it. So like I use music as an example, because it's so easily accessible where, you don't have to go and get it. We run through it so fast that I don't think we even take time to really digest the art form of it. So that's more what I'm speaking of. Accessibility, I have no problem with at all. But I think that it's starting to drive how we consume, and everyone's not going to consume responsibly. There's a difference in someone who knows their limit in drinking and they don't, and if they have access to it, if you have an addictive personality, then just going out could be a struggle for that particular person where they can't be at a bar because they don't know when to stop, as opposed to someone who says, yeah, I had 2 beers, I'm good, I don't need to go any further. You also have that same person that doesn't know that they've had 12 beers and you should have stopped 6 beers ago, bro. So there's no, and I hate to even use the phrase guardrail, but there's no real guardrail when it comes to art or when it comes to creativity.
And the
Even with AI.
responsibilities, though, it will lie on the person. It wouldn't lie on the thing. Because even if someone has an addictive personality, they can go out, they don't even have to see a bar. Something could look like a bar and it triggers them because that's
True.
something that you have to deal with within yourself. Because even when it comes to music, like, although, like, I'm doing a lot, there's certain things that I will listen to, like a Beyonce album. Love it. Love B. I'm a part of the Beehive. I will listen to that over and over. Even now, music, I would listen to the same song all day. Like, that would be the only song I would replay it, replay it. That's just because that's me, right?
Well,
Even
that's
though they have other things out there, but that's why I say that would lie on the individual.
But that's how you're wired. So like, even look at someone like Timbaland, right? Who was a producer extraordinaire. But what is he catching flack for now? Because he's trying to introduce an AI artist that's not real. I don't know about you, but I don't want to hear an AI artist because that experience, I can't take it serious. I don't care how good it is. I don't want to hear an AI album with a Tupac voice. And people get excited like, oh man, like that's kind of fire. No, it's not, because it's not Tupac. Tupac died in 96. It's not him. So what I mean by that is, corporations will seep into pretty much any and everything. So when I talk about responsibility, their general consensus is, make the money and it's not about anything else. Even if you look at the new crop of rappers out now, right? You can't really tell where anyone is or where they're from.
Yeah.
The younger rappers, and I hate to even sound like that because now I sound like, get off my lawn. But it's not that, because there is a difference in get off my lawn and assessing something. And I've had this conversation with numerous friends before. Who does it benefit that all the rappers look and sound the same? It doesn't benefit the public or the consumer. It benefits the company, because now, if the general public doesn't really know the difference between this artist and that artist, because you look the same, you dress the same, you sound the same, your jewelry's the same, your haircut's the same, everything about you is the same. If there's no real individuality, that means you can't come in my office and tell me what kind of deal you want now, because I can replace you. It's a mass production. It's the McDonald's business model, where it's not about good food. It's just about how fast we can make it, and you scarf it down and you feel your hunger, but it's tearing up your body. So when you look at, mark my words, by this summer, there's going to be a new female artist out. But they're going to look and sound very similar to the last 5 that have come out every summer. They're going to dress, just the jewelry, everything. And when you look at beforehand, there was a difference in Nelly and Ja Rule. There was a difference in 50 Cent and Snoop. You knew Snoop was from California. You knew 50 was from Queens, New York. You knew, this person, you knew the Goody Mob was from Atlanta. You knew Master P was from New Orleans. But now, can you honestly tell me that you know the difference between a lot of these artists that are coming out now? They're all using auto-tune. Even down to the jewelry, even down to the clothing. A West Coast rapper used to have flannels and khakis and chucks. And then if you was from New York, Mobb Deep, they was baggy jeans and Timbs and big bubble jack. It was identity. And that's what drew you in, because it was different. And I can remember listening to these different artists, and I feel like I was there with them. Like, man, I'm in New York today. I'm feeling kind of California-ish today. I'm going to pop this But and I'm saying all that, and I'm not trying to sound like a big conspiracy theorist about any of this. You. But it benefits companies that the artists sound and look the same, because now the consumer is not loyal to you. They're just loyal to a sound that we've manufactured, and we can plug and play. We can put whoever we want to up there to occupy that space. So there's a sense of responsibility that needs to be there, but they're not going to do it. And they will start setting the tone of what's cool and what's this and what people are consuming. And then if they're setting the wrong tone, people are consuming it the wrong way, without having that responsibility.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't want to
But
sound
that's
like a
why
conspiracy theorist.
I love the internet because you can find that indie artist. You can
Yes.
like they before. I would say that would have been more of a problem back then because who they put out was what everyone was listening to.
Well, and DJs were
Now,
supposed to be breaking new artists,
you know,
which they don't
but
now.
because as you know, this is what we like. So of course, as a DJ, they're gonna play what we want to hear. So I feel like now because we do have the internet and we do have those things, you see people that are not run by large corporations like Meg Thee Stallion. I love her down, right? She was not sold out. She owned all of her stuff, right? Like I absolutely love that. There are people that we're getting access to because of just how widespread things are able to be. So I think that now we're in a better time than we were then.
But that's why I
as
say
an independent artist, like as
kind of a
somebody who's
double-edged.
unique, right? So I feel like you got to take advantage of because that's the issue. Even when you think about a job, right? You may have the old head, not saying you the old head, but they may have the old head that don't want to learn and say, I don't want to use that AI. All right, they're gonna have somebody else that understands how to use it, but also understand how to do your job. Who finna be gone? You.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
you definitely don't want to be a dinosaur.
Understanding how it can benefit you and then just kind of like going from there, making it work. So I feel like that's my biggest thing. It's like I can't hate on it. I love how things are evolving, but I do understand what you're saying because it's like the culture is kind of blending. But that's really honestly, not getting into the history of the United States, but they call us like the melting pot, right? Like the culture, you can go out to another place. Let's say West Africa. Liberian culture there's a difference between Liberians and Nigerians from how they talk, from the type of foods that they make. Things they don't have the widespread of access that we have. I'm not saying that they don't have it, but it's not like how it is
not so
in
there.
the United States,
right?
And so I can understand people maybe getting away from the culture. Like you said, like there's a culture, maybe West Coast or whatever. But I can see how that could be like, man, but I don't think there's anything too wrong with it. Like, it's okay if we are, learning each other. We're learning, how other people move and we're being inspired by that. Like I went to Chick-fil-A years ago. Okay. I was never really like a Chick-fil-A person. But I went to Chick-fil-A and I went in and that woman said, "It's my pleasure." I've been saying it's my pleasure ever since. Right? Because I said, I like that.
Yeah.
I like how when you said that, I like how that made me feel. I want to make other people feel that way. And so whenever I say it now, people laugh because it's like, oh, Chick-fil-A, because that's what they know it as.
Right.
But it's not that I am wanting to be like Chick-fil-A. I love the way that made me feel when you said it's my pleasure. So I picked up that, right? So I think that's kind of what it is. Like,
But
that makes sense.
But and that's why I say it depends on the people who are kind of in charge of certain things. Responsible distribution. So like with you, I could see things of that nature, the evolution of AI and everything, but someone of your mindset is going to do it in a responsible way. My concern is that you have people who are in places of influence that are not going to be responsible. They're just going to be like, how much money? Cool. And that's going to be it. Now, if it tears down this or if it destroys this, they kind of don't care.
That's why we got to stand 10 toes down. Meet people like us. Like, because they going to always, people that want to take advantage of the system will, right? So you got to be vicious. And a lot of people, they, even get into it, the way that I speak and all that stuff. People like, you do too much. I got to. Because there's not very many of us like me that will be willing to stand up against, what institutions are doing. So I feel like now, that's where the responsibility lies on us, us to continue to create and putting our things out there so people can see there are independent people who are doing things better than these large corporations, right? You know, they got all this money. So, you know, just like you've been doing for years.
It's a full circle moment.
Full circle, you know? So it's like we're doing it, and we can't be hiding. We can't be afraid to make that noise, because then now people are looking at us, right? You know, just like if you think about, people will look at the media and Facebook and TikTok before they are young people even watching the news, turning on CNN.
Well, that's why the news is on these platforms.
You know, now, because they realize that. But ultimately, you know, people were putting out the news before the news stations were, and they were known for that, right? So it's like, we got to be that, like putting it out there and, you know, showing people like, hey, you know, we're here. And yeah.
Well, listen, I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation with you. Very refreshing. I think that what you do and how you proceed is very needed. Like I said, I mean, our society has to have certain things in it for it to, I feel, move. So every once in a while, you have to have that person that's going to be a Molotov cocktail and, you know, light up a little bit. But also, aside from that, I don't want to just brand you as the Molotov cocktail or the person that's going to be. I think that, you know, you with you putting your heart into what you do, I think that that's something that should definitely be recognized. So she's not just the person that you call when it's time to go to war. She's also someone that you can call when it's time to do proper business, and to just be a different voice and add that different perspective. I think that's what makes our society move.
Yeah.
So, Mary, it has been very much a pleasure
Yes.
to have you pull up to the table talk. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation.
It's been a pleasure to be here.
This won't be the last conversation we have. So, thank you all for clicking in with us. Remember, you're either at the table or you're on the menu. You decide which one you're going to be. We out. Peace.